Are you struggling to balance your training with the rest of your life? You feel like you're training, but you have to say no to either socializing, school, work, or even time for yourself. Trust me, I have been there. It happens to every single athlete. But I have some strategies that I've learned along the way that I'd love to teach you guys so that you don't have to go through the same thing that most athletes go through, and it could actually lead you to a more balanced lifestyle. If this sounds like something that you're looking for, then keep watching this video. When I was training as a competitive hockey player, I always felt like I had to miss out on something or can only kind of put myself half-ass into something else because I was just focused on hockey. And I felt like there was not enough hours in the day. And I wanted to do a little bit more. I didn't really like saying no to myself or to other people. It's actually really common with athletes. There's a ton of common thinking that we have around time management, right? You feel like we don't live a balanced lifestyle. We feel like there's not enough hours in the day. We feel like you have to say no. And it's not fair because you want to just be well rounded, you want to enjoy your time, but you also want to work hard. And so along the way, I've learned some strategies that have helped me, and I'm really excited to dive into them later in this video. I just want to let you guys know that you're not alone and that I really hope that these strategies can help you build a more balanced life. First of all, let's talk about the importance of time management and what we actually mean by time management. Time management enables you to get done what you intend, and it enables you to do that in a balanced way. So you should be doing that sane. It shouldn't be at the cost of your mental health, for example, right? Getting things done or doing the things you want to do shouldn't lead to stress, anxiety, depression. It should not. If that's what you think this is, or that's what you're experiencing, you're not living a balanced life. Balanced life means balancing not only your experiences, your opportunities, your activities, but also your health. So the goal is to understand reasonably what can be achieved in a set amount of time. How can we build a plan so that you're able to do that? How can we say yes as many times and instead of saying no, push that to not right now? And then actually go about living this balanced life. If that sounds like something you want to achieve, then let's talk about those techniques. But before we jump in, if you're liking this video so far and you can relate to it and you want to stick around for more, then come on, join the team, hit that subscribe button. I'd be happy to have you in the community. So how do we actually manage time? Well, time management, another quick way to think about it is prioritization. You kind of know what you need to get done. It's more about when do you get those things done in order to allow you to get everything on your list done. That's ideally what we'd want to do. But there's a ton of prioritization techniques. One of the most common ones is the Eisenhower matrix, as I'm sure you guys have heard before. And what it does is it basically looks at, well, it gets you to look at what tasks on your sort of to-do list, which ones are most urgent and most important, and it allows you to build out this matrix, this 2x2 matrix, to have four quadrants which tell you whether or not you should prioritize task A versus task B based on how urgent / important it is. And I think it's a great, technique. But for me, I just didn't find it applicable to me because I had trouble actually making the decision of what would go in each quadrant, because to me, everything's urgent and everything's important. So it's hard for me to delegate it in that way. And so if you find yourself in that same situation, then maybe my technique for prioritization might work for you. So the first thing I start off with is a brain dump. Anything that I need to get done, no matter how small, I write it all down. You don't care about order. You don't care about categorization. It's not fancy. Write it down on a piece of paper, write it down on your phone, type it on your laptop, whatever you gotta do, record it somewhere. Don't just say it out loud, right? The goal is to get the things out of your brain. That's why it's called a brain dump. Because if you keep the things in your head, one, you're more likely to forget an item on that list. And two, you're stressing yourself out because you gotta constantly remind yourself to not forget the thing where you can just write it down. So brain dump, write it all down is the first step. Now, the second thing you need to do is you're going to do one skim of prioritization, One skim. You're going to just look at the list and you're going to say, okay, let's say you're planning for the week ahead, right? That's what I do. Sundays, I plan for the week ahead, right? So if you're trying to plan for the week ahead, you look at that list and you understand everything on here needs to get done to you. It's important to you. It's urgent to you. Okay. I'm not here to tell you otherwise. What I'm here to tell you is, although that's the case, that's not all going to get done in that week. It's just not going to happen. Because guess what? It's good if that does happen, it's going to come at a greater cost. And that cost is your mental health. And that's not personal development. That's not personal growth. So that's not something I'm trying to advocate for. Instead, we're trying to achieve balance, but productively. So what you need to do is look at your list, look at your brain dump and say, what needs to be done by the end of the week? And to answer this question, think about what's a W for you, what's a win by the end of the week. Knowing like if you did XYZ by next Sunday, you'd be like, damn, this was a good week. I was productive. I got this done. I'm feeling good. What are those things? Then ignore the rest of the list. Now, that might be one thing for you. That might be 3 things. That might be 5 things. Honestly, it doesn't matter how many things. I just wouldn't put more than one thing in one day. That's the way I like to look at it. I'm assuming you're doing like, they're like mini kind of project size. Obviously, if it's like, oh, like, pay my credit card. You can pay your credit card and do another task, right? Like pay your credit card is going to take 30 seconds. So actually, that made me think about something. Let me add one little sub point. Once you've figured out your must-dos, if you have any little things on your list that are literally 30-second tasks, pause the activity, do those 30-second tasks right now. Because even if you have 30 of them, guess what? You'll still finish it in 15 minutes. So just get those ones done out of the way. Everything on that list should not be a 30-second task. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's go back to our prioritization technique. So we've brain dumped and then we've gone through and identified our must-dos for the period that we're talking about, maybe a weekend or a week. Now the next step is to time box. Time boxing, you probably guys have heard about. It's all over the internet. People say it's what the CEOs do and what entrepreneurs do. But honestly, I just think it's a useful tool. And what it is it allows you to block off time. That's the simplest way to do it. You just need to assign a certain amount of time or a time period, because maybe you don't know. Maybe you're like me and you're like, I think this will take me 2 hours, but it probably will take me 6. So what it allows you to do is it allows you to look at your calendar, set some free time to accomplish those tasks. And what you're going to do is you're going to allocate that necessary amount of time to each of those tasks. Now, say you're like me and you don't really know how much time is needed for each one, ballpark or / you can use AI. Ask ChatGPT like how much typically it would take for someone to get this task done, and use that as your time boxing technique. And then make events in your calendar of you working on that time. Have the reminders on the calendar invite as well. So an hour before, I want to be reminded that I need to be writing for 1 hour, but I want to know before that because I'm just going to let it pass by because you might not check your calendar. So you want those notifications on. But if you use ChatGPT and you kind of ask them like, or you ask it, build me a timeline to complete X, and then you find yourself, you need more time, you can always add that in. It's just to get you started, because the great thing about time boxing is once you're following it, once you're actually executing on the times that you're putting in, then you're propelled, right? It doesn't even matter once you start, if you did it for 2 hours and you're not done, you still did it for 2 hours. You wouldn't have done it at all, but you did it for 2 hours. So you have to understand the progress that comes with personal development and time management, right? 30 minutes doing something is better than not doing it at all. 5 minutes doing something is better than not doing it at all. Put that time in your calendar. And then once you have those times in your calendar, you have your set for the week. And then when you get to the end of the week, you can look back at your week and see what went well, what didn't go well. Did you get the things done? If you didn't, you need to do some alterations. Either you have too many must-dos, you're not being diligent enough on your must-dos, or you're not allocating enough time to yourself for those activities. And then you can proceed the next week to make those adjustments. So that's my prioritization technique, but that's a perfect plan. We don't live in a perfect world and we are not perfect people. I know for myself, I'm not. So even though I have a plan, life doesn't go according to plan, right? You might have 50% of it go according to plan. That's great. It doesn't mean you shouldn't have a plan. It just means you need to figure out what to do with the other 50% when it doesn't go according to plan. And that's exactly what I want to talk to you guys about now. I want to talk to you guys about how do you handle distractions of life so that you can get your stuff done even if it's not going according to plan. Now, the first step is to set boundaries. So once you have that time box, communicate that to people around you, right? If you're working, you have school, parents, whatever, trying to get your attention those times, say, hey guys, don't bother me during this time, because guess what? I'm not available. I have things in my calendar that I'm trying to get done. And they might not take you seriously, but who cares? You're taking yourself seriously. And honestly, the people who don't take you seriously, one, they don't have your best interest at heart, first of all. But second of all, if they do, and I'm wrong, because that's very much a possibility, if I'm wrong, what I would say is then take yourself seriously, because as you take yourself seriously, they're going to look at you and say, wow, like this is a big deal for this person. Like, you know what? I honestly thought it was just a one-off thing they were doing, but you know what? They're taking this really seriously. I got to respect that. And now if they don't respect that, then you really have a problem. But that's how I would go about setting boundaries. And then the next thing that you can do is you can use focus time. I know iPhones have this. I'm sure other phones have this, but my phone is always on do not disturb. Like always on do not disturb anytime I'm doing something. As I'm recording this video right now, it's on do not disturb so I don't get distracted while I'm filming. As I'm working on other things that I need that focus time, it's on do not disturb. As I'm sleeping, it's on do not disturb. You just need an undistracted world. If do not disturb is not for you, turn off your notifications. That's fine. If you're like, oh my God, what if I really need to see something? Okay, fine. Everyone's different. Turn off your notifications. Personally, I don't need notifications on for social media. I will check social media when I want to check social media. And so that's what works for me. The only thing I do keep notifications on are for my messages and phone calls, as well as all my productivity apps, because that actually enables me. And then if it's too much, if you guys are like, I kind of want like a middle approach, then as you know on the iPhone, there's like several settings that you can do. If you don't want to go full do not disturb, you can have like a working focus time. And so you enable certain apps, those kind of things. I also do that for my 9-to-5 job. And that allows me to focus on, getting notifications from the right people at that time, but not being distracted by like social media or any outside apps. So that's a step that I would say helps you navigate those distractions. And then the final thing I want to leave you with is you need to let life just do its thing. Leave room for life to get in the way. So this is more pertaining to when you're actually setting up your calendar and time boxing. Don't time box your whole day. Or maybe you need to do that, okay? But I don't recommend it because you're not built to just follow a schedule 24/7 like a robot. Like that's for the military. If you're in the military, great, do that. If you're not, and that's not what you're doing, live a balanced life. Leave room for to see how you're feeling, right? Navigate as you go through the day. Just set up blocks of time. So like for me, I don't like to schedule more than 1 to 2 like deep work activities in a day because it's not realistic. It's not going to get done. It's wishful thinking. Now, if I was the kind of person that could get that done, great, I would put that in, but I know who I am and you guys know who you are. So just, give yourself that audit, right? That double check. When you time box, you say, well, are you really going to do that? You can at least do one thing, maybe two, but 3 to 4 to 5, probably not, right? Doesn't make sense. You also want to enjoy life though, right? So make sure you're leaving that room so that you can go for dinner with friends one night, right? You can go for a nice walk in the city or whatever you end up doing. You want to make sure that that's part of your schedule. And I know as athletes that can be hard, but that is a really great strategy to enabling that free time. So I know we've covered a lot this video, so I want to just recap the main points for you guys. First things first, I hope you guys understand that everybody struggles with time management, whether you're an athlete or not. I still use these strategies and I still find things not going according to plan all the time, and that's completely fine. The important thing is I pick myself up and I do it again and I iterate and I iterate and I iterate until I'm constantly slowly getting more progress and more progress for something that's working for me. And you guys are going to do the exact same thing. You just have a better starting point than I did initially with this information, hopefully. The next thing I want to leave you guys with is understanding that Time management, if you're able to manage your time, managing your life becomes so much better, and you're actually able to enjoy it instead of worrying about all the things you can't get done or need to get done. You leave that to the productivity systems, the calendars, the time boxing, the to-do list, the brain dumps, and you focus on doing the best you can with the time you're given. And then we've talked about processes for actually for prioritization, like the Eisenhower matrix. And then, of course, my prioritization technique, which can be boiled down to 3 steps: brain dump, must do's, time box. Those are the 3 things that you need to do. And then finally, how do you deal with distractions? Well, it's setting those boundaries and leaving room for life at the end of the day. And I hope with that, you guys are able to better manage your time. Hopefully you got some takeaways from this video. If you liked any of the tips I gave, let me know in the comments. Would love to hear what your thoughts are. If you guys have any other techniques, time management techniques, let me know in the comments as well. I would love to learn from them. I'm sure that'll help improve my process, and other people in the YouTube community would value your input as well. So please share that. And that brings us to the end of the video. So if you enjoyed this video, of course, guys, please hit that like button. And of course, if you're ready for more, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video.